Hey guys, it's Lisa and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to make something for our children or grandchildren. I've been thinking about ways to implement Christ into their Easter and still let them enjoy the fun part of it. So, but I decided here, I'm sure that you guys have heard of the resurrection eggs. So these are with younger children in mind. Now, I got all of these items at the Dollar Tree, and I'm taking the eggs out of this little half carton because I want to use the eggs that are in this little bag because I need them to open. And I also like the color of the eggs that I have here because they're speckled. So the first thing I'm going to do is take some of this paper Easter grass. You could use the plastic. I just wouldn't think that it would work real well because I don't know that it would glue real well at being plastic. Now, this is what they have at the Dollar Tree. Now, I would prefer a little bit finer cut. And I'm sure at Walmart or places like that, they would have the finer cut. But I just went to the Dollar Tree and just grabbed these three items. And they didn't have a finer one. So I'm going to make this work. And I'm going to glue this in. Don't worry about what it looks like now. I'll do some trimming up. But I'm just going to put some of this grass in each one of these. Now, you could use either color of grass you wanted. I'm making this one with either a boy or a girl in mind, and I just thought it would look good with the color of grass in it. So, I'm just gluing these in, all three of these, and then I'll just kind of press it down really well and trim where I need to trim and do extra gluing where I need to glue before I put the eggs in. Now there's all different styles of these resurrection eggs. But most of our older children have heard the story, and I just wanted to focus on the little children with this one. And also, because Dollar Tree had this little half carton, the ones that tell the story for older children require 12 eggs, and I just like the look of these little half cartons, so I thought this would be a cute little gift that showed the true meaning of Easter. So once I get this trimmed up and I press it down good and make sure that it's in there really good, then we'll start working on the eggs. Now, the first thing that I want to do is number my eggs. And I thought about using a stamp, but the only stamps that I have that are numbers are too large for this. And so I got to looking at this Tim Holtz scrapbooking paper, or not scrapbooking paper, decoupage paper. And I looked closely at it, and I was able to find each of the numbers that I wanted. Now, they're not all going to be the same font or size, but I think that will just add to the look of this. So I was able to find the numbers 1 through 6 in here, and so this is what I decided to use. Now, you can handwrite the numbers on there. But I just didn't want to do that. I wanted this to have a little better look than that. So each of these I'm just going to tear out, not even cut out. I'm going to tear out the numbers that I need. And if you don't have this decoupage paper and you want this look, then you could achieve the same look by cutting them from a magazine or a newspaper. So this will be a very easy one to do. Now, I've made these actually a few times when I taught pre-K at church, but I didn't go to a lot of trouble making them pretty. But I did do the same little story, and it's a good way to tell the story of Easter to young children. And yes, this is the hill from some light bread. So I just cut a little square from it. Now normally what I use is a crouton, but I'm at the shop today and didn't have croutons here. So that's going to be the first egg. And I'm using my little circle punch here and a sketchbook so that I have some just plain paper that I can make the little notes that go with each of these. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some ink and just go around the edges of each of these notes with the color that the egg is. And I just felt like that would add just a little touch to it. And I didn't have an ink pad for the pink one, and I just used some pink eyeshadow. So you can do that, or you can use marker, or you don't have to do this step at all. I just wanted to add a little extra touch. Now the items that go inside these are going to be very simple items, and they'll all have this little round note that goes with them. And I'm cutting across from a popsicle is all I'm doing here and gluing that together. I just felt like a popsicle stick, or actually this is a tongue depressor. It's just very easy to cut, and it will glue together well because it's good and flat. And then I just stained it with some of my antiquing wax, or you could use some... You could use antiquing ink on this, or even marker if that's what you wanted to do, but or paint. But that was just a quick way for me to give it some color. So you'll need the bread, a cross, a piece of cloth like I have here, a rock. And then one egg is empty, and then a piece of candy. So the first egg will have the breadcrumb in it, and the little note will say, Jesus ate dinner with his friends, and then you'll put Luke 22:14 through 15. And I think it's a good idea when you're telling the story to your children that you read that scripture also. So you'll let them open the egg, and then you'll read the note to them, and then that scripture, ideally, I think. And then the second egg will have the cross in it, and the little note will say, the next day Jesus died on the cross. And then that will be John 19:17 through 18. And then the third one will have a little strip of cloth in it, and the note will say, he was wrapped in cloth and placed in a tomb. And that's John 19:40. And then the fourth one will have a little rock in it. And it will say, a stone was placed in front of the tomb. And that's Matthew 27:59 through 60. And then the last one, or not the last one, the fifth one, will be an empty egg, and it will say, Jesus' friends came to the tomb and saw the stone had been moved. The tomb was empty. And that will be Luke 24:1 through 3. And then the very last one will have a piece of candy in it, and the note will say, Jesus is alive. That's the sweet surprise of Easter. And that's Matthew 28:5 through 6. So that's how you'll present it to them, and I think it's just a really sweet little way to teach them the meaning of Easter and make it fun. Now, obviously, if you're doing this with toddlers, you don't want to put hard candy in that. You want something that they won't choke on, but that's just what I had handy at the shop. But then I just placed it in a little plastic bag, and this is just one that I had at the shop, but Walmart has a bag that I think these would fit just perfectly into in their wedding aisle. But then to tag this, I just had a little stamp that said, that had the John 3:16 scripture on it, and I think John 3:16 is perfect for Easter. And I know this isn't decor like I usually do, but I just thought this would be a cute little idea, and honestly, this would sell in the store, I think. So the next item that I'm going to do is a little basket, and I want to do that for the older children. And so I started with this little basket, and I clear coated it and painted it white. I clear coated it first so that it didn't bleed. Now I guess this one could be in lieu of an Easter basket since they're maybe too old for one. And again, I want to bring the true meaning of Easter into this. So I took some rocks that were kind of shaped like eggs and I painted them all with pastel colors. And then I either stamped or stenciled scripture and things pertaining to Easter on each of them. And I'll include those stamps and in my, or most of them. Some of them I've had so long that I can't, but I'll include the ones that I have that I was able to find in the description. And then after putting these in here, I decided that I wanted to kind of raise them up some more. And I thought about dressing up the basket more, and depending on who you were going to give it to, you could do that. But I decided to keep this one more plain because I'm going to put it for sale in the store. So in order to not only raise this up a little more, but to add some more warmth to it, I just cut some burlap and just kind of stuffed it down in there and left it showing around the edges somewhat before I put that moss back. And that added a lot more to this. And I just kind of trimmed it up where it needed trimmed and until I got the look that I wanted. I didn't glue this in. I just put it in there. That way you could take this out if you needed to. But I just stuffed it back in there and put the eggs, and that raised them up a lot, but also gave some of that warmth around that basket. So then I just put those rocks back in there, and then, now these would be better, and I didn't get to it here yet. I'm going to have to take them back out and do that, but I'm going to stamp these on both sides. That way, however they get turned in the basket, you'll still see the scripture. And then I'm just going to make a little simple hang tag. Actually had a sweet viewer who sent me some hang tags to start with, and I'm just going to use that and glue a little bit of burlap behind it, and then you can just put the name on that you want to give it to. And I'm going to use those little wooden crosses from the Dollar Tree and just kind of add that to the front of it, just to kind of that will signify the meaning of Easter. But putting that burlap behind it is just a simple way to add some of that warmth into my tag also, which will just kind of bring it all together. And I chose not to put a bow on this or anything. Again, that's something that you could add, but I wanted to keep it very versatile. And so I just tied that on there with some jute twine. Now, if you didn't want to use the rocks or didn't have the rocks, then this could also be done on eggs. I just wanted, the reason I used the rocks actually was because I could have a flat surface on the front that I could stamp onto, because it would be hard to stamp onto the eggs. Now, what you could do is stamp onto one layer of a napkin and decoupage it onto the egg, so that would work also. And I didn't have any basket wrap for this, and it would need to be a small basket wrap anyway, so I left this one unwrapped. So now I'm just going to show you some ways that I made some hang tags with these little Dollar Tree shapes. I bought these last year, but I've seen them this year, and it seems like they have a really good supply of them. But I decided to use these to label a basket with. So, like if you were doing a basket for your grandchildren, then you could put their name on this little tag and hang it on the basket. So what I did was just painted these the buttercream, just kind of an off-white on both sides, and let them dry. And then I just decoupaged an Easter print napkin on them, and on one side, and on the other side I'm just going to take a to from stamp and stamp on the back of them. Now you could omit that, you could just write their name directly on, but I had that stamp, so I decided to stamp the back. And then just to add a little bit more to them, I took my antiquing ink and just kind of antiqued around the edges, and that just kind of gave them a little bit better look. But my sister suggested using these to hang on Easter baskets, and I thought that was a really good idea. So now I'm just going to tie a bow around the bunny's neck and then put a bow tie on the little chick, and that will kind of make it for a boy and a girl, I thought. And we made several of these little name tags, and even added some beads to some of them, and made tassels out of a few even. And I know that some will ask, on the simplest of these I put $2, and then on up to $5 depending on what I added to them. Now this one tassel, I just added the little foam eggs and used those as the beads. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you in the next. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great evening, and God bless you and your family.